Welcome back to the LD Aviation podcast. Today I'm joined by my longtime friend and colleague, Robyn Carpenter. If you've ever worked in a flight department, you know there are two constants. The schedule is always changing, and the spreadsheets will never tell you exactly what you need, at least not without 3 cups of coffee and a late night troubleshooting session. That's why today's topic is such a game changer. Robyn and I are talking about the power of data-driven decisions and how software like PFM, BART, Avianis, and FOSS, all part of Portside's ecosystem, can make the difference between running in circles and running a truly efficient operation. So this isn't about adding more reports no one reads. It's about getting the right data at the right time in the right format. So schedulers, dispatchers, and leaders can make decisions with confidence instead of guesswork. Or as I like to call it, moving from control alt panic to we've got this. So buckle in because today's conversation will show how data, when used well, can turn stress into strategy and help flight departments prove their value like never before. Welcome, Robyn, and thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. I appreciate you having me on.
You and I have known each other for many years, but well, I will say probably actually most people in the industry know you as well. But for those who don't, can you share your journey and how did you get into aviation and what led you to
Sure.
go this way?
Absolutely. So my journey into aviation started out like many others, a complete and total fluke. I did not go to school for aviation. I was actually working in the marketing department at Taco Bell Corporate out in Southern California. And the VP of marketing actually recommended me for the scheduler role in the corporate flight department. She knew I had a background in event and travel management. And so on a fluke, I went over and interviewed for the position with Steve Nielsen, who was the director of aviation at the time for Taco Bell. And he took a chance on me and ultimately taught me everything that I know about aviation. He was an incredible mentor to me throughout my aviation journey. And then when the opportunity ultimately arose for me to look at moving to the vendor side of the industry with PFM, who I was a client of at the time, he really encouraged me to spread my wings and move into the vendor side of aviation. And so that started my journey moving over to PFM and ultimately 17 years at PFM. And our company was acquired by Portside in 2022. So almost 3 years now under Portside, and over 20 years now in the industry. Actually 25 years in the industry at this point. So really excited to be a part of this industry. It has, like everyone, once you're in, and aviation will never let you go. And I love that. So that's my journey into aviation.
That is so cool. And I met you when I was working in a flight department who was using PFM as a scheduling software. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that was excellent.
And I think we go back about 20 years as well at this point.
Yes, because that was back in 2000. This is dating me, us, 2002, I think, when I started that job. So yeah, that's 23 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I started at PFM in 2006. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Crazy. Yep. Small world. Well, I'm kind of curious. How have you seen, since you've really been on the technology side for a long time, how have you seen that evolve in the industry over the last 25 years?
Yeah. It was been a huge evolve. The way that technology has evolved in 20 years actually really impresses me. It has really completely changed our industry, changed the communication within a flight department and with the stakeholders of the organization. When I first started at the Taco Bell flight department, we were using a very primitive Windows-based scheduling tool. I still did most things by hand, from updating a whiteboard.
Yep.
to keeping a written calendar. So I would plug the trip into the scheduling solution and also write it on a calendar and then update the whiteboard. And then I was printing and making copies and edits to trip sheets for the crew, putting them on their desk with, timestamp of when I made the changes. And even still using a typewriter back then to fill out visa applications for the crew members.
Wow.
So, and also I had a pager for on-call. So it was like before everything had evolved. So that was in 2000 when I started at the Taco Bell flight department. So it really does amaze me how far technology has come in the last 25 years. And realistically now it's the goal of most flight departments to be completely electronic.
Yeah.
And to have, really streamlined lines of communication between dispatch, crew, passengers. And that's all able to be possible these days with the technology that we have and where it's come.
That's so cool. I definitely remember the whiteboard, and make sure you write the calendar in pencil so that you can change that up later on.
Absolutely. That eraser got used a lot.
Yes, sure did. So now going forward, what excites you most about helping all the operators use this data more effectively?
Yeah. So, being someone that started and worked in such a manual way at the beginning of my career, it's exciting now to be able to offer technology solutions to companies and help them provide those methodologies to streamline their workflow processes, to enhance communication within their department, to their stakeholders, and also with their other vendors that they work with. I learned early on under Steve's mentorship that being able to provide useful data to stakeholders is very necessary to the ongoing existence of a flight department.
Mm-hmm.
And technology adoption as passengers and executives become more tech savvy as well, mm-hmm. and are eager to have the data available at a drop of a hat, it's exciting to be able to promote that technology to flight departments.
That's so cool. Yep. I think you really brought up one point, though, that we'll probably talk about later on, but adopting that technology, accepting it, learning it, and being open to having it as part of your day-to-day life is a big thing, because yes. I think we find some people don't really enjoy it as much as others.
Absolutely.
So obviously, if Steve was helping you learn about data-driven decision-making 25 years ago, data-driven decisions is kind of a hot button word and topic these days, but obviously it's not it's been around forever. But why do you think it's kind of a hot topic right now?
What I really see, and I'm going to put my corporate flight department hat on here for a moment, but what we really have seen in the last 10, 15 years is, and with the uptick in fractional management and charter operators, today's corporate flight departments are constantly having to justify their existence within that corporate landscape. And the data is the key to managing, again, that communication with the stakeholders, mm-hmm. and showing that the department's worth is there within that corporate landscape.
Yep.
Additionally, like the increased scrutiny these days of publicly held companies, mm-hmm. both from spend management and from the environmental perspective, may cause the executives to look at alternative options more frequently. Sure. So while that landscape continues to change, the reasons for having a corporate flight department are the same, really. It's privacy, security, operational control. Yeah. That remains paramount. And the data can continue to support that argument for the flight departments.
I love it. Yeah, so essentially this data is kind of a make it or break it, are you going to close the flight department or not close the flight department?
Right, exactly. So you've got to be able to show those stakeholders that you're staying environmentally responsible, that your fiscal management is there, and that your spend management is under control, and that there is operational cohesion in the flight department, creating a way for operations, pilots, executives, all to be on the same page with the desired outcomes. So this is, I think, very top of mind for everyone in the industry right now. Mm-hmm. And it really is significant we see it every day. Recently, within the last 2 weeks, one of our corporate flight departments unexpectedly got shut down because of the CEO, the CFO, or the executives at the company decided to go fractional. So it's happening at a rapid rate, and that data is so important to be able to keep that corporate flight department operating.
It totally is. And you kind of went through some of those examples of those decisions and stuff, and I really like the environmental one. Are there any other big decisions that can be significantly stronger when backed by data versus intuition?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely spend management. That's a big one.
Sure.
Being able to track that profit and loss, being able to track, you know, savings within the department, to be able to show those contract fuel savings that you might have had over the past year or 2. As we know, in a corporate flight department, the aviation department is a loss leader for the company, but you have to show how you're being fiscally responsible and trying to save money where you can, while still providing a safe experience for your customers.
Yep. Very good point. Yep. Very good point. Okay. Where do you see some of the operators struggling? Because a lot of data is there. They probably, most everybody has access to the data, but what are they struggling with most in terms of using that data?
Sure. And I think the big piece of that is the reporting. Most of the software programs out there these days have very robust, complex reporting, and it's figuring out how to best mine that data and present it to your customer. So that's the big struggle we see. And we get those type of requests all the time from our customers daily. Can you help me run a report that shows A, B, and C? I need to now present this information to my executives. So that's why it's so important for software products to create reporting, like we're doing with our Horizon product, which is a new scheduling solution that's on the market with Portside, using Microsoft Power BI. So we're really leveraging that new technology and finding the best way to provide the most robust reporting with live data. And we were able to do that in the Horizon system using Microsoft Power BI.
That is so cool. I've just played with Microsoft Power BI a little bit, but it's a pretty spectacular. So that exciting that it's going to be part of the Horizon, which we can talk about Horizon as well, and kind of in some of these next few questions, because I want to switch over to the actual platforms that Portside offers. So can you just kind of walk us through the main capabilities of Portside's family? You've got PFM, BART, Avianis, FOSS, Horizon's the new one. You guys have a lot of them.
Yes, actually, within the Portside portfolio, we now have 7 scheduling solutions.
Wow.
So we've got, I'll go through the list: Avianis, BART, PFM, FOSS, Horizon, plus 2 international programs, one called Take Flight and the other one called Nuvelops. Wow. So those are the 7 scheduling solutions that are under our umbrella. We also have a safety management system under Portside with Baldwin Aviation. And then, as you may be aware, Portside also has internal products that they've created. The one that's kind of out there in the forefront right now is the Owner Portal, which is a program that streamlines that communication between you and your stakeholders, presents them schedules, and reporting within that program as well is done through Microsoft Power BI.
And that one integrates with all of the scheduling softwares, or at least most of them, right?
Yes, absolutely. The Owner Portal can be integrated with not only the Portside scheduling solutions, but any scheduling solution on the market. We want to make sure that Owner Portal is available to absolutely everyone that may find value in it for their customers.
That's so cool. So that is not only schedules, like owner schedules, when and where they're supposed to be going, but it also includes, you said, some reporting. So like a dashboard. Am I right?
Exactly. Yes. It has a beautiful dashboard in it that provides metrics that your stakeholders or owners may be interested in. And those can be customized based on the owner. So it can show them all sorts of metrics, how often they're using the aircraft, where they've been flying to, what are their most frequent destinations. Again, those profit and loss statements, invoicing information, how much they've spent throughout the year. So you can create unique and custom dashboards to present to your owners.
I love that. And being a business owner, I think that is really important to a flight department and their stakeholders, because I don't want to see a million different reports and try and interpret that. I would like to see it at a flip of a switch. I'd like to see those main pieces that I'm concerned with, that really
Exactly
tell me if it's working or not working.
Yeah, you're able to present them what they're interested in a very cohesive, dynamic dashboard. And that's what people want these days. They want that live reporting, and they want to be able to look at that dashboard at any given time and see that updated data.
I love it. That's so cool. Okay, so how does that dashboard integrates with everybody?
Yep.
What other, or I guess I should say, when you do get a chance to integrate with other software systems and other products, how does that help eliminate some of the silos and maybe improve efficiency? I think you hit a little bit on it in your last answer, but
Yeah, and I think that's the big piece with Portside. People often ask us, why do you have so many scheduling softwares under your umbrella? Well, we wanted to make sure that we were able to offer any client the system that best fit their needs.
Okay.
And we know that every corporate flight department and every organization runs differently. Everybody has specific missions.
Right.
They have specific needs. And having all of these softwares under our umbrella gives us the opportunity to really work with the customer, identify what their needs are, and be able to point them to the solution that's going to work best for them, which is really exciting for me now that I'm in the sales role. Is I can really have those in-depth conversations with the customers and really provide them a system that's going to work best for them.
That's so good.
And what we see is with our scheduling solutions,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and I felt like this for a long time, the scheduling solution is the hub of the flight department.
Yeah. Yep.
That is your source of truth for everything that happens within the flight department.
I agree.
And the great thing is now, with the technology that we have, we're able to integrate that hub with all the different spokes.
Nice.
Integrate with your maintenance systems, your safety management systems, your trip service provider systems, and be able to bring all that information together so that you're providing your crew and your passengers with that cohesive information, being able to bring everything into one place. So really, I've felt that way for a while. And I think that flight departments are starting to see that as the technology grows, that your scheduling solution is your source of truth. It's your hub, and it should be able to connect out to all the spokes.
And I think it's that, you said it in your previous answer, is the real-time information. You're not waiting to access something else or have to log out of one and into another. I love that.
Exactly.
Real time is super important.
Yeah. And again, with the technology that's available these days, with our new, more modern solutions like Horizon, we're able to do live two-way integration now with our partners, which has been really exciting to our customers that are transitioning over to Horizon. They really like the ability of working with a trip service provider. You can push your schedule out, book your trip services, and then those confirmations come right back into the solution. They're not coming in as a separate page or a separate entity. It comes right back into the trip, and all of that data is live in your scheduling solution.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think that when we look out there and we see, oh, it's integrated, I don't know, unless you really dig into that, if people understand the difference between one-way integration and two-way integration.
Right.
And that two-way integration that you're talking about is just hands down the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. I mean, being able to push your times and cycles to your maintenance provider, but then more so than that, now being able to pull those due lists back into your calendar and really what that does is it enhances the communication between the schedulers and maintenance.
Yeah.
The schedulers can now say, oh, look, there's a due item coming up. Let me communicate with my maintenance team and make sure, can I book the plane that day? Does that have a sliding scale on it? Where are we at with that? And I think it just enhances that communication and ultimately provides more methodology to have a safe department.
Totally.
Because we know safety is the foremost, most important thing that's out there.
Yep. I think it helps with efficiency as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, when I'm using things, going out, maybe looking for, I probably have most knowledge of PFM, but just having my fuel prices integrated and the fact that I can go ahead and go out, request a fuel release, and it comes right back to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, that makes me more efficient and more valuable.
Absolutely. Yep.
I love that.
I mean, we're all being told these days, work smarter, not harder, and streamline, right? Streamline your processes. And the software that's out there these days can help you do that. Absolutely.
I totally agree. Okay, we talked about that two-way integration. That was a really good feature. Is there any other feature or function that you've seen that's really transformed how departments operate these days?
Yeah, I think two specific items within the Portside wheelhouse that have really transformed the way that flight departments again are communicating to their clients and receiving information back into the system. The first one I'm going to say is the web-based request systems.
Oh yeah.
And I know that you've used the request system, Lindsay, with that PFM offers, and we've seen how much efficiencies that can provide when a executive admin can easily communicate to the flight department what their needs are, be able to track the changes, and have an audit trail of everything that's happening with the trip. Again, we used to live in a world where we still receive hundreds and thousands of emails on a regular basis with all the trip requests and the changes. And to be able to streamline that into the request system and have everything in one space where you're not having to dig through emails and try to find the information you're looking for, that's really been a huge resource for the flight departments to help streamline their processes. The second one is the owner portal, which we've also talked about previously. And again, enhancing that communication to your clients.
Hey, anything that will send less emails to my inbox is the better, because you're right. There's so many of them. And then trying to track all of them, the audit trail, I love that too, because just going back, well, what day did I receive this message? And did it get action, etc. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And I think, with the corporate flight departments, there's so much scrutiny now, especially with the publicly held companies on, properly tracking business versus personal use, what's going out there on those proxy statements. And all of that has been enhanced with that request system as well. It gives you the ability to make the executive admins truly say, is this business or personal?
Yeah.
And we've also seen within the flight departments, a lot of flight departments have given access to these tools to like their internal audit folks, where they can then monitor throughout the year that everything is properly being done, the approvals are in place, so that at the end of the year, it's not a scramble to try to, collate all of this data. They're doing it throughout the year, and it streamlines those processes.
That's great. And I'm going to go back on and talk a little bit more about the business versus personal decisions. And in my opinion, should not be in the scheduler's hand. That's not the person who should be making those decisions. But as we've seen, there are a lot of flight departments that are still asking the schedulers to make those decisions. So I think that's so cool, and a really good point that you can push it back on the EAs or whomever in the department in the company that you want it to be, but it really should not be in the scheduling person's hand. So.
Totally agree. And I mentioned Steve Nielsen in the beginning of this conversation, who was my mentor and the person that hired me into aviation. That was literally the first thing he taught me. It is not your decision to determine if a flight is business or personal. That is going to be given to you by the executive admin and sent for approval. It is not your decision. So that is something I've always remembered in my 25 years in this industry, and something that I communicate to my clients that I'm working with as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I just can't believe how many schedulers are still doing it
Yeah.
these days. So, really good
Right.
point. Okay, so kind of let's transition from now we've collected all this data, we have this reporting, we've got great software, but
Yes.
now let's move into like how are we going to use it? So, how
Yeah.
do you help teams move beyond just collecting that data and actually making decisions with it?
Sure. So, within the Portside, I'm going to bring up the Portside portfolio again. One thing that we also have within our wheelhouse is a crew and aircraft optimizer tool.
Okay.
And those type of tools, along with using the reporting through Microsoft Power BI, those both provide not just data, but recommendations on how to become an efficient flight department. The optimizer provides recommendations on aircraft and crew allocations, and additionally provides recommendations on how to move crew between scheduled trips using the data in the scheduling tool, and then integrating it directly into the optimizer. So again, it goes back to that integration. So we're collecting all of the data in our scheduling tool, right? And that's our hub. And then we're pushing it out through integrations to where we need to use that data. So the tools like the optimizer or the reporting in Power BI or the owner portal to provide those dashboard metrics, that's how the data is being used
Okay.
to present it to your stakeholders again in a method and means that they can understand.
Yep.
Instead of just looking at a printout of like an Excel printout of million lines of data, it's actually presenting it in a way that helps them make those decisions
Yeah.
to be a more efficient department. Like with the optimizer, how can we be more efficient with our aircraft movements and our crew movements, all the way through how we can be more fiscally responsible with the data, looking at our profit loss statement, budget versus actual, and all of that information.
That's great. That's great. And now all of that, just, we talk about return on investment, like you mentioned before, flight departments they're not earning money. We are usually a loss. We're an expenditure for a company, right? So if we are able to
Right.
show with that data that we're giving some sort of return on investment, like maybe passengers to certain meetings, board meetings, etc. I mean, all of that really helps tell the story of how the investment in this flight department is actually helping the company.
Yeah,
I love that.
exactly.
Love that. Are you able to share a success story where using one of these tools changed the trajectory of a flight department, perhaps stopped it from being closed?
Yeah, actually, that happened to me when I was at the Taco Bell flight department.
Okay.
So this is early on. Obviously, we didn't have the wonderful technology tools that we have today, but we were a very data driven department. We recorded all of our information, both scheduling post flight, and we were able to consume that data and provide the information to the company as needed. Early on at my time at Taco Bell, we were operating at that point as three separate flight departments. There was the Taco Bell flight department, the Pizza Hut flight department, and the KFC flight department.
Okay.
At that point, we were all under the Yum Brands umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
The company was initially called Tricon, and then they changed the name to Yum Brands.
Oh.
But we were operating separately while also sharing resources. So we shared aircraft if we needed to, we shared crew members, but we were effectively operating as three separate departments.
Okay.
During my first couple of years in the department, at the time, the CFO of Tricon Yum Brands was approached by a fractional company, and we're considering making that move to fractional. Through the data and metrics that we had collected as the flight department, Steve went and campaigned to the leadership at the overall company and ultimately was able to show them how we could provide cost savings by merging the three departments into one.
Okay.
And all be coming under one umbrella, sharing our resources, and being able to show them how more efficient we could be as a department if we were all together.
Okay.
And with that data and being able to provide that information to the executives, that flight department went on for many, many, many more years. And we became one cohesive group as the Yum Brands Flight Department, operating out of 3 bases.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And it could have, you could have eventually or easily just been shoved off to the fractionals, and one, you lose all those jobs. You lose the,
Yeah.
I guess you use the ability to react quickly often. That's so
Right.
cool. That's a great story. I did not know that. Because I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
I only saw Yum Brands when it was all 3 of them already put together.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting too. And I think that something data can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like putting the data out there and having the data at your fingertips is so important. But it's also the visibility of the flight department personnel within the executive leadership of the company.
Sure.
And, we often talk about flight departments kind of feeling like they're the stepchildren of the company, right? They're out at a different location. They're not in the corporate space.
Right.
And I think it's really important for the leaders in the flight department to make sure they're visible on a regular basis within the corporate structure. And I think that really helps. And then with that data at their fingertips, they're able to communicate more effectively to the leadership and get in front of them regularly.
I totally agree. And that kind of brings in, like, being in front of that leadership, it also helps you understand what is the goal of the company. Because the flight department needs to watch and jump onto and boy, I'm jumping all over my words.
Learn how to support their mission.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right?
They have to be aligned there. Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I love that. So cool. Okay, so let's kind of look then into the future. What are we looking at? Like, what innovations do you think in software are going to happen over the next 5 years?
I think the biggest things are continuing the trajectory that we're on now.
Okay.
Providing modern, web-based, easily accessible solutions that are integrated and connect, and making, again, the solution the hub and connecting to all the spokes. Also mobile applications. And we're not just talking about an app for the crew. We're talking about app for the passengers. Being able to potentially on their phone go in and request the use of an aircraft. Book a seat on an aircraft through a mobile application. That is becoming possible with, like, our owner portal has an app associated with it. And that's specifically designed for the passengers, not just the crew.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see what comes down the pipeline for that as well.
Yeah.
And also, again, I'm going to go back and mention the request and shuttle management systems. Being able to provide a web-based booking tool for your passengers if you're running regularly scheduled flights within your department.
Yep.
And then also being able to provide those web-based request tools. Both of those systems are wonderful at not only providing the passengers and executive admins the way to book an aircraft, but it's also wonderful at gathering data.
Okay.
Because we're not just looking at the post-flight data of the trips that actually happen, but with the request system, we're also able to gather how many requests did we have this year? How many requests were we able to support? We were not able to support. So those systems also are another way of being able to gather the data that you need to be able to present to your executives.
I love it. And all of that goes back to keeping your flight department open.
Exactly.
That data.
Yep.
Okay, so we didn't really talk about AI, but how do you see that? I mean, I use AI almost on a daily basis. Is that going to share or shape any of these new developments?
I think so. I think that where we're going to see that primarily is in things like predictive maintenance.
Okay.
Using AI for predictive maintenance optimization, again, which we're, in the forefront of that with the Portside optimizer. Automated flags for maintenance approvals, dispatch releases, owner approvals, crew currency notifications, trip notifications, briefings, client communication, all of that. We also, on the 135 side of the house, AI enabled quoting is
Oh,
becoming
yeah.
more paramount for people. It's really becoming useful to help sell that lift. It
Mm-hmm.
allows them to provide rates at a faster clip,
Yep.
reduces the amount of manual labor creating those quotes that salespeople have to do now each time, just to reach the same amount of demand. So
Yep.
that's where we at Portside really see AI becoming useful in what we do.
Yep. I love the quoting part. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about
Hmm.
that. I've seen a couple of options out there, but you're right. That's a
Hmm.
very manual process
Yeah.
that um, AI could help with. Okay, so what advice would you give to younger schedulers and managers about embracing the technology early in their careers?
So I'm going to kind of flip the scale on this one.
All right.
I think what we're seeing is that the younger schedulers and managers are telling us, the people that have been in the industry for a long time, how we can better use technology in the
Sure.
industry today. People coming into our industry now are so much more tech savvy
Yeah.
than we were when we entered the industry 20, 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to listen to them. We should be listening to our yo pros. We should be listening to those people coming into the industry, and taking their advice and being open to change and being open to the technology.
Very good point. You're right, because my kids are constantly showing me how to use my phone
Absolutely.
better.
Yeah. And, we see that with a lot of clients I talk to. You have your older crew members, the newer crew members coming in, and those newer crew members love the technology that they have at their fingertips.
Yep.
And they're the ones who are trying to encourage the older crew members to get on board.
Yep.
So I think that's what we need to do. We need to listen to the younger folks that are coming into our industry and listen to their advice on
Yep.
technology.
I totally agree. And I think sometimes adopting, like the request portal, sometimes that's harder to get people to adopt because you might have a whole group of executive assistants that might have been in the company for many, many years. So maybe, I guess, just be patient with those of us
Yeah.
who might not really understand how it works. And we might need to know
Yeah.
or practice it a couple of extra times.
Yeah. I always use the adage when talking to customers, because if all the time, at least one customer will say, I've got one executive admin I know won't use this system.
Right? Yeah.
I know they won't use the system. And my response is, everybody online shops these days. We all fill out online forms. We all online shop. The request system's the same thing, basically. You're online shopping for the use of the aircraft.
That's a
If we
great
can online
analogy.
shop, we can use a request system.
Yes, that is a great analogy. Oh, I love it. Okay. Good point. It is. I mean, everybody
Yeah,
shops. Mm-hmm.
exactly. We're all used to using online forms
Yep.
these days.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. I just renewed my passport, did the entire thing online.
No way. Really?
Yeah,
I haven't
it
done
was
either.
super easy.
Oh,
Took me like 10 minutes to fill out the application, upload my picture, and off it went.
nice. Okay.
So,
Yep.
yeah,
Everything's moving online. So no more
hmm,
excuses.
exactly.
Cool. So, kind of thinking about all of what we talked about today, if you could give leaders one first step toward becoming more data driven, what would it be?
So, I think the biggest piece is knowing how to access your data.
Okay.
So, learning your tool, be open to implementing those technology solutions, and learn how to access the data within the solution.
Yeah. Yeah. Learning the tool, right? It doesn't have to be just a
Absolutely.
scheduler that knows how to work it. You should be able to
Correct.
go in there and pull out whatever information you want. Yep.
Exactly.
Very good
Yep.
point. Very good point. Okay, so how about anybody who's listening? What's one takeaway that you hope they remember from this conversation?
I think something that's been very top of mind these days, and we didn't really discuss it too much, but very top of mind in our industry right now is safety first.
Yeah. Yep.
And learning how you can use your technology to help your department achieve a safe and efficient operation.
Yeah. Very good point. Yep. Safety is always keep that in the forefront of any conversation. Yep.
Absolutely. Yep.
Robyn, it has been so great talking to you. And I bet you, I mean, again, lots of people know where to find you. But if
Absolutely.
somebody doesn't know, how would they find you, talk to you some
Mhm.
more, connect with you? What's the best way?
So anybody is free to reach out to me at Portside. My email address is the best way to get me, rcarpenter at portside.co, not .com or .co. So you can also reach out to sales at portside.co, go on our website and click the link to contact the sales team, and that'll come to me, along with our wonderful other sales folks here at Portside. Um, and yeah, feel free to reach out. I will be at base in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
So come by the Portside booth and see me there. I know, Lindsay, you and your
I will.
team are going to be hanging out at our booth a little bit while
Yeah.
we're there as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, come see us at base. I'll be at Schedulers and Dispatchers. I'm usually at most of the NBA events, so that's always a great way to see me. But yeah, reach out, and happy to talk to anyone about the industry.
That is so cool. Thank you so much, Robyn. It's really been great talking to you. You're always a wealth of knowledge. You have a
Oh,
lot of
thanks, Lindsay.
experience. I truly enjoy talking to you. I will definitely see you at base. Um,
Wonderful.
and all right, listeners, that wraps up today's conversation with my very good friend and colleague, Robyn Carpenter. We've seen how the right data delivered through platforms like PFM, BART, Avianis, and FOSS, and I didn't forget the other two, but I know you have 7 total, and Horizon as well. That's
And
coming up
Horizon. Yep.
as well. So they're really just not numbers on a screen. It's the story of how your flight department is working. How well are you serving your passengers? How smartly are you managing the costs? How effectively can you demonstrate the value to the parent company? Because those are the decisions or the data that helps keep you in business. Robyn reminded us too that the most successful teams aren't drowning in spreadsheets. So if you're one of those people, we're talking to you. The successful teams are using tools that turn that data into insights and then those insights into action. So, like those dashboard tools that she was talking about. Really, it means fewer fire drills, fewer why didn't we know about this sooner moments, and maybe even a little more time back in your day. So, the big takeaway here today is data is not a burden, it's leverage. And when you embrace the right technology, it can become your department's secret superpower. It really can. So again, huge thank you to you, Robyn, for joining me today and proving that, yes, we can make both data practical and fun. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it, share it, and subscribe to the LD Aviation podcast and send it to that colleague who insists on naming every Excel file the final version, number 37, because we all know someone who's doing that. We're so glad you joined us for this episode of the LD Aviation podcast. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, share, and follow. Your support helps us keep the conversation going and grow our amazing community.